cone.
Just deleted 30 seconds of us singing the It's Corn Kid song. And now I have more of it on here. Great. Well, welcome. A perfect intro.
Hey, everybody.
For watching movies
Long
with
time no listen.
April.
It's me.
And Kenny. It's me. It's Corn.
It's Cone.
And we're here to talk about...
We just watched a really good movie.
Matt Webb's favorite movie.
One of my topics to talk about, Matt Webb.
So he will come up in this discussion. But we're talking about Event Horizon from 1997.
Correct.
It's spooky season, so we thought we'd watch a very scary movie.
Terrifying.
And
with how bad it is.
Yeah, it is kind of scary. Not in the way intended, potentially. This is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Did you find anything out about him in your research?
Didn't even look, to be honest.
He's kind of like a notorious bad director in that he's made some real stinkers. Especially, he's kind of famous for making some video game movie adaptations.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, not good. He also directed Alien vs. Predator.
Never saw it.
But you've been watching some Predator stuff recently.
I watched the OG Predator, which
you hated.
Was bad. And then
Prey. Would you say... Well, can we take your opinion seriously about a pure action movie?
I'll tell you, the acting was...
Not good.
Really bad. Really, really bad.
Okay, that's fair. But you liked Prey.
Yes, Prey was good.
Have you watched any Alien movies?
Yeah, I've watched Alien and Aliens. Those are both good.
Okay, so maybe you'll have to... You should watch Alien vs. Predator, because you like crap movies.
Is it bad?
That's supposed to be one of the most famous crap movies.
One of the most crappest.
I mean, just listen, the name of it. It's just taking two different franchises and smashing them together, like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, just toss them together.
Yeah, so that's Paul W.S. Anderson.
Okay.
I guess I would say, given the rest of his pedigree, this probably is his best movie. But, I mean...
That's not saying a lot.
Sure. The cast, then we can get into.
Yes.
I only took note of 3 actors in the film.
I have 3 or 4.
Okay. Laurence Fishburne.
Yes.
As Captain Miller. So he's the captain of the rescue ship.
Yes.
Probably turns in the best performance.
I would agree.
Sam Neill, also super high quality performance.
Great acting from Sam Neill in this film.
As Dr. Weir. So he's everybody else is part of this rescue mission crew on the same ship, and he's tagging along as the expert on the ship they're going to investigate, the Event Horizon. Yeah. And you did a number of years ago an not Instagram Live. You just posted several clips as you were watching, and you told me that he is a terrible actor. I think we've even mentioned on previous episodes of this show. Yeah, you think he's really bad in this movie.
Yeah. When I originally watched it, I had to reevaluate because I had seen him in Jurassic Park,
and that's it.
Basically, I think. And so when I saw his acting in this movie, I was like, oh, is he a bad actor?
Right.
Is he really bad in Jurassic Park? And I don't think that he is.
You saw that when you were 2.
Yeah, correct.
And then you just kind of cobbled the rest of your memories together playing Jurassic Park at our house growing up.
Yeah. Whenever I think of Jurassic Park, I think of the fear that you instilled in me during that game.
Maybe this is a good tangent.
Should we talk about it?
Yeah. What is this game that you're referring to?
Kenny was the creator of all of the fun games that... that my siblings played. So me, Kenny, Matt, and Samantha... Kenny would make up the games, and one of the games that he created was Jurassic Park, where we would have to run from the house through our property.
And we live on a big property in the countryside.
Over a bridge and, across the yard to a little ramshackle horse shed way in the backyard, and pretend to reset the computer systems, the electricity, and run back.
As Ellie Sattler does.
Exactly. And then run back so that we could catch the helicopter. But the catch was that Kenny was out in the yard somewhere hiding, and he was the raptor. And as we would sneak out of the house to go to the horse shed, Kenny would eventually come after us as the raptor.
From some unknown location.
We had no idea. It was terrifying. We had a Nerf gun, and we could use
one
shot. Dart to try and tranquilize this raptor for a very brief period of time.
Yeah.
So you had to hope and pray that you would see Kenny coming. A terrifying experience. I mean, we screamed and screamed. It was truly like my heart was beating out of my chest. It's the fastest I've ever sprinted in my life.
It's like a murderer simulator.
Yeah, exactly. Horrifying. You had to hope that you could catch him with a dart and incapacitate him for 3 seconds, I think?
Yeah.
3 bananas?
Yeah.
And then he was back up and running after you.
Right. And then you had to get into the shed where you would have to switch the power.
Yep.
There was a little toolbox that we had a Nerf bazooka. So you would pump it up with air, and it had I don't know, about the size of like a Coke can, this dart that would go into it. And this could kill the raptor. So now you had one kill shot.
I don't remember this part.
So now you had one kill shot potentially on the raptor if...
I don't think we ever killed the raptor.
I'm sure you did.
I don't think so.
I'm sure you did.
We played this as recently as 3 years ago as adults, and it was as scary as ever. Scarier because I'm more out of shape.
Well, we wanted to show...
And I think we all fell, and also we played at night. So.
We wanted to show Veronica, Matt's wife, what this game was.
How truly terrifying.
We've talked about it for years.
Yeah.
And I think it lived up to its reputation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It is so fun and so scary.
From my perspective, it was not scary at all. It was great.
Sure,
I just got to terrorize my siblings.
Kenny had lots of games like that. Kenny created American Gladiators course in our yard because we were really into that one summer. Did you create Adrenaline Tag?
I made Adrenaline Tag.
Adrenaline Tag, where you would go in the basement and turn the lights off and be pitch black.
And you're basically, it's just like normal tag, except the person who's it is really trying to sneak around in the pitch dark.
Yeah.
Which is horrifying
really especially scary.
Yeah. There are lots of games like that. The point being that this Jurassic Park game I made up was 100 times scarier than Event Horizon, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
At least. The only other actor I took note of was Jacob Isaacs, a.k.a. Lucius Malfoy.
Okay.
A.k.a.
I need to write his name down.
The bad guy in Mel Gibson's The Patriot, a.k.a. He's just been in tons of stuff, and he's still acting and doing cool stuff.
I liked him in this movie.
Yeah, he was good.
He was a pretty good contribution. I also wrote down Jack Noseworthy, who's the young person, Justin.
Mr. Justin.
Just because he looks really familiar. And I looked through his work, and I don't think that I've seen him on anything, but he looked really familiar. And then I wrote down Richard T. Jones.
This is Cooper.
Who is Cooper.
Yeah. Because
his character reminds me so deeply of the character Roman, played by Tyrese Gibson in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
The shit that he says in this movie is exactly the kinds of things that Tyrese Gibson would say in the Fast and Furious movies.
That's a great line of comparison,
Thank
I would
you.
say. I would also say, he's... we'll talk about the characters later, but he is a sassy black side character.
Yeah.
That's who he is. I've told you everything you need to know about this guy just from that. Okay. Your favorite part, the taglines.
Yes.
Now, we're bringing back a favorite segment. The fans have been clamoring for us to do this again, which is you looked up the actual taglines.
I did.
And counted the words in them. Mm-hmm. And I am going to make up my own matching that tagline.
Yes.
And there are 2, right?
Yep.
So there's a 9-word and a 4-word. Mm-hmm. All right, so 9-word. Ready?
Yep.
In space, no one can hear you fall asleep.
Incorrect. Do you want to hear the 9-word one?
Yeah, please.
A haunted ship, a missing crew, an infinite evil. Pretty good as far as taglines go.
That is
one
probably
of our better
literally
ones.
The best tagline we've reviewed so far.
One of our better ones.
It's intriguing and descriptive.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I'm impressed.
Wow. Best part of the movie so far.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then 4 words. You ready?
Yep.
The longest 90 minutes.
It's infinite space, infinite terror.
Fine.
Honestly, as far as taglines go,
that's
incredible.
Home run taglines.
My tagline was, "You'll feel like you're in hell."
It really does make you feel like you're in hell.
We got most of the way through, And I said, this movie is only an hour and 30 minutes, and it feels a long time. And Kitty was incredulous.
I really was.
Could not believe.
I really was. I thought, I guess I'm just so used to movies nowadays that, like, the standard runtime for a movie...
At least 2 hours.
2 hours minimum.
Minimum.
And probably, like, 2 hours 15, 2 hours 30 is what you're in for.
Yep.
Which... me and other old people like me, we're all like, we all pine for the days of the 90-minute
I have said this over and over. Bring back the 90-minute movie.
Yeah. Because that's what I've got attention for. And there's so much wasted time.
Yeah, you can get exactly what you need to get done in 90 minutes.
Totally. So the fact that this was a 90-minute movie...
This could have been a 15-minute movie.
It felt... Yeah, this could easily be a short film. Yeah. There's actually... I need to look this up, so I'm going to have to cut some material here. But there's a YouTube channel called Oat Studio, which is made by the guy who did District 19? District 9?
District 9.
Niels Blomkamp, I want to say is his name. But he has a short film that is about a monster in some sort of future space situation. And it's like a 20-minute short film. It's way scarier than Event Horizon. Way more character development. Like, it just packs so much more of a punch.
Yeah.
I need to look up what it's called real quick. Because it's got Dakota Fanning in it.
Ooh.
Zygote is what it's called. You can check that out, and maybe we'll watch this afterwards, because it's pretty fucking good.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. You said that. Like, you're like, oh man, this is so long for a 90-minute movie. And I was like, 90-minute movie? I thought we were, like, rounding out the 2-hour mark already. That's not a joke.
Nope.
Oh, boy.
It feels real long.
Well, I guess let's get into our...
Wait, I have some trivia. some interesting... Because some of the things you said at the beginning were like, oh, yeah, I heard the CGI, the visual effects were not very good. So the first piece of trivia I wrote down is that the rotational shot of the space station over Earth took 1/3 of the visual effects budget.
Holy
So they really poured a lot into that one shot.
Which is a fine shot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's worth 1/3 of your visual effects budget, but...
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then you had a video on of...
We were watching Red Letter Media's review.
They were reviewing Event Horizon. The guy was talking about how it's literally The Shining in space, and
that's a perfect description of it.
The writer, Philip Eisner, his pitch for it was The Shining in space. that was exactly his pitch.
I guess they got
nailed it. I guess.
To be fair, Mike from Red Letter Media also said it's like The Shining in space, but sucks.
But really bad. The Event Horizon ship was modeled on the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is a very interesting choice. Make a ship like a cathedral.
We can talk about that more, yeah.
That was just an interesting tidbit to me.
There's in Warhammer 40K, which is a tabletop miniatures battle game. Their lore is very extensive, and it's very clearly inspired by Roman Catholicism, all their imagery, and their ships look like giant floating cathedrals, which is cool.
When I was looking through the trivia, there was something about Warhammer. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I mean, Catholics in space. It's a good place to go. I mean, we're reading right now the Locked Tomb series, and there's a lot of that same inspiration floating around.
Yeah. Galaxy Quest writer Robert Gordon saw the meat grinder corridor, and that's where he got the inspiration for the chompers.
The Smashers. Yeah? Oh my god. So something great came out of this.
Which we have Galaxy Quest on our list at some point,
we do, and we need to watch it.
Yes.
God, what a movie.
Great.
Spoilers for what my analysis and score is going to be for Galaxy
Quest.
Very good.
And then the last piece of trivia I had is that Bill Pullman turned down the role for Sam Neill's character.
Bill Pullman. Sure.
He probably would have been a better actor than Sam Neill.
I don't know. We can talk about that. Okay, so...
Okay.
Getting into the analysis.
Yeah.
I guess this is kind of trivia as well, but kind of bridging us to analysis. Mm-hmm. So there was a weird production situation with the movie. I don't know if you read about this, where it's a Paramount movie, and Titanic was supposed to be coming up, but was running behind schedule, basically, going over budget on some things. And they forced the creators of Event Horizon, it's like, you got to get this done pronto, because we have to ship a movie and put it in theaters. So this got rushed, put into theaters, which has led to a director's cut, which has a lot more material in it, plus a lost cut, which has several hours more footage.
Oh my god. Yeah,
and I just can't imagine caring.
I thought I read that he ended up cutting like 40 minutes or something from what they wanted to put out. But I also read that they showed it to people and it was just way too like gory and wildly disgusting, and they made him tone it down a little bit.
Do you think it could have used more of that? Would that have helped the movie? Because you said while we were watching, the one thing you had a reaction to was probably the goriest bit, which is where they finally de-scramble the footage from the original Event Horizon crew, and it's them and all the like stuff coming out of their mouths and like being cut up and pulling eyeballs out.
I think that was good for one scene. I don't know that
you don't want to overdo that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would have been better. But then again, you also watched The Thing recently, which is not shy on the gore factor.
Oh my god!
But that's a good thing for that movie.
Yeah, that's the point of that movie. Like
right.
That's what the creature is. Like.
Right. And this isn't about gore. It's about losing your mind, like questioning
it's about
reality.
Trauma, basically.
Right.
Like
because as the movie progresses, it's all the characters being. It's like it. You're being confronted with your fears.
Yeah.
Except in this movie, it's not like I'm afraid of the Wolfman. I'm afraid of
spiders
the
or
lepers.
whatever.
It's like I am afraid of my trauma that I haven't dealt with properly.
I need to go to therapy.
Right. So, let me start with some positives.
Okay.
The things that I like in this movie. I like the spaceship designs.
Okay.
I said the Lewis and Clark, which is Laurence Fishburne's ship, the cruise ship, is, I think, pretty cool. Feels kind of straight out of Alien down to the stasis chambers so that you can travel through deep space. Feels lived in, feels authentic, seems cool. I don't buy people smoking on it, but...
That was a really funny... They're just lighting cigarettes and smoking in space.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I guess if you've got some crazy future tech scrubbers...
Yeah, suspend your disbelief.
Sure. Because the whole point from that, I'm supposed to gather these are normal, everyday working people, basically. Down to, like, the first thing that happens is they're all complaining that they have to go and do this.
Yeah, they were on a break.
Yeah. I wasn't even supposed to be here
Forced
today.
to be back.
Right. But the spaceship designs are cool. The tunnel leading from the hyperdrive engine core is particularly a cool horror set. What I mean by that, not the grindy meat grinder, I think that's ridiculous. I mean when Sam Neill's like a circuit board has shorted out and they open a panel.
Okay, like the green.
And he's crawling through these square
spaces.
tunnels with like circuit boards. And it's like a maze and it's very claustrophobic.
It's like vent work or like duct work. Like
Right. It's such a cool setup for something terrifying. And you and I talked about this on the commentary. You had this memory of Goblin Castle.
Yeah.
What was it
Goblins
called?
in the Castle.
Goblins in the Castle. And playing with constrained space and claustrophobia is really good. They even kind of set that up earlier when Sam Neill's being put into his stasis chamber. I think Jacob Isaacs asked him, "Are you claustrophobic?" And he says, "Yeah, very."
Oh.
And they don't do anything with it.
Other than him freaking out in the...
Right. They could have done so much with, like, it seeming to close up. Like, there's a lot of possibilities there. I like that set, though.
Okay.
I like the basic concept.
I was going to say, this seems like a storyline you could get behind if it was done well.
Definitely. And I especially love the idea of... So I like the basic idea of a ship that has disappeared, has come back, and now it's like, what happened? Let's investigate. But I love the idea of a ship that has mysteriously gained sentience. Like the ship itself is alive and trying to do things. Which, again, they don't do much with. The ship itself, there's so many things like a haunted, possessed ship could do to you. Closing doors, blowing out airlocks, like purposefully malfunctioning, taking you places you don't want to go. And they just don't really play with it. But I love the idea. Love the idea.
So this is like a Con Air situation.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like the core idea, great.
Could really fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of like very ripe ideas ready to pluck from that tree. Okay.
Ready to get into it?
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, we open up on Sam Neill. He's waking up.
He just has a vision.
Yes, he has a vision, and it's like himself, right?
Right. It's not
clear what he looks like at the end of the movie.
Right.
It's vague.
If you're watching it from the first
like,
time, it's like a humanoid screaming.
Yeah. We go into its mouth, and then he wakes up in bed.
Whoa.
So he's aboard the Lewis and Clark already, right?
Yes.
So he's with this crew that he doesn't know, Laurence Fishburne's crew. By the way, I don't remember any character's name. It will always be the actor. Okay,
with few exceptions.
Yeah, right. So he's on this ship with this crew. He already kind of sucks. I don't know. He's kind of weird, kind of off a little bit.
He's off from the beginning.
Yes. So I'm already like, I don't know about you, Sam Neill. We've got Laurence Fishburne and his crew. The Tyrese Gibson character, obviously not Tyrese Gibson, but that's Cooper. Who it is. Ellie Sattler.
Stark is her name, but yes, blonde lady with a ponytail. Yes.
It's Ellie Sattler.
Yeah.
15-year-old boy.
Mr. Justin.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Mr. Justin.
Baby Bear.
Yes.
Lucius Malfoy.
Jacob Isaacs.
Then we have that one lady.
Don't know her name at all.
The chick with the kid. And then the guy with the cigarette.
Mr. Smith.
Is that everybody?
That is everybody.
Okay, so
well done.
That's how I will refer to them. And right away, that like you said, they're not happy. They're supposed to be on a break, you know.
And instead, they're going on this rescue mission in deep space.
Right.
Which it takes them like 60 days to get there, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like you're talking multi-months. They're supposed to be on a vacation. Instead, you have a 4 months minimum.
Yeah.
They're being called into work.
This chick is missing her son's birthday, and she's especially upset. Laurence Fishburne is like, I'm really sorry. I missed the very, very beginning is techno music with the credits.
Yes.
It's like rave music. That's how it really opens up.
Very nice.
It's a really funny choice to me.
Bad credits. So one thing I've realized, my guilty pleasure, I'm sorry if I'm reviewing something I've already said, and you can stop me if I have. One thing I've realized, I've watched a lot of reaction YouTube channels of people who haven't watched a bunch of old movies from the 90s and 2000s, watching them for the first time. And one thing that people aren't used to, if you haven't watched those movies, is just credits at the beginning.
For 2 minutes of just credits.
Exactly. And another thing that has happened, and we have Marvel to thank/blame for this, people always look for post-credit scenes. No matter what the movie is like, I have to wait and see if there's anything. And that's such an interesting expectation that has been placed upon movies now, that you have to have something there.
No, you'll never catch me. If I think that there's a possibility of something happening after the credits, I'm going to Google that shit before I go in.
Yeah.
If Google tells me no, I'm out of there.
Yeah. The only reason I would stay and do that is so I don't have to battle the lines getting out of the theater.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah.
And then there's text at the beginning that kind of that's all the exposition at the beginning. They're
going through a year by year thing of 2015 we make a colony on the moon.
Yeah.
2023 first mining expedition on Mars. 2047, they're going through a sort of future history of space travel, and then the Event Horizon
disappears.
Yeah, it's a deep space mission around Neptune disappears.
Yeah,
2047 now.
So that's how we get our setup.
And what would you say that how would I evaluate this text crawl? What's your expectation?
You wouldn't like that.
That's right.
Because you don't need that exposition.
That's right.
You can figure it out.
That's right. Well, not only can I figure it out, because I do think that, but I came after the Mummy. I roasted the Mummy for giving us exposition up front that they then explain again later. This movie does the same thing.
Yeah, they do talk about it immediately.
Even faster. Sam Neill gets on board the ship and he's like, the Event Horizon went missing, and now we've got a beacon at the Event Horizon. Yeah. And actually the truth is it was a faster-than-light travel experiment gone awry. It's then why did we waste all that time?
Yeah, and we also didn't really need to know the dates of when the moon colony was created.
Stupid.
Or any of that information. Not pertinent at all.
If you wanted to do text, you could have done 2047, rescue mission to the orbit of Neptune to rescue the Event Horizon, or salvage the Event Horizon. If you had
Which is also not needed.
Which you don't need to do. So yeah, bad text, Carl.
Yeah, so they head to the Event Horizon. They get there and immediately they start making the worst decisions you could possibly make.
Good. This is a great place to jump in. So it's a trope of horror movies that people make bad decisions.
Yeah.
You kind of need people to make bad decisions.
And it's accurate because people in real life make bad decisions. They're stupid. Yeah, they're dumb.
For sure. I do think it's important in a horror movie for people to make some good decisions. Because otherwise you're just like, you're not afraid of what's going to happen to them. You're just like, you're an idiot. I hope you die.
Yeah.
Which I said multiple times in this movie.
Yes. And we do get a little bit of the good decision stuff with Laurence Fishburne specifically.
We do. So I wanted to do something right now.
Okay.
Let's award best and worst decision in the movie.
Okay.
So I think you have a best decision.
Best decision, Laurence Fishburne.
Yeah.
My favorite quote, I even wrote it down, where it's near the end and Laurence Fishburne is like, we're leaving. We need to go. And
Everything is fucked at this point.
Sam Neill says, well, what about my ship? You can't just leave her. And Laurence Fishburne says, I have no intention of leaving her, Doctor. I will take the Lewis and Clark to a safe distance, and then I will launch TAC missiles at the Event Horizon until I'm satisfied she's vaporized. Fuck this ship. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, that is a good decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow up this fucking ship.
I'm not just
Not
leaving.
only am I leaving.
Yeah. I'm not just getting away from the haunted house. I'm then going to blow it up.
I'm gonna explode it.
I'm going to leave it a crater where it used to be, so no one ever has to deal with this.
Which is exactly what you should do.
Great decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I 100% agree. Best decision in the movie. Worst decision in the movie. I have my nomination.
My personal nomination is when that one lady sees what she thinks is her son.
Right. Her trauma is she left her son behind on Earth.
Yeah. Her son, who is apparently disabled, he was in a wheelchair in the video that they were watching. She's, upset that she had to leave him, but she hallucinates that he's in the engineering room.
They're about to leave.
Yeah.
So they're getting the CO2 scrubbers, so stuff they need to...
Literally running back
She's
to
with
the
somebody
ship.
else.
Yeah, there's two people. You're like, great, they're getting the shit they need. They're going to get off. She turns around and thinks that she sees her son in the engineering room, like scuttling away. And so she goes after
Good description.
Well, he sees, and he goes up the chute or the ladder or whatever, and she follows him.
Yeah. She's like, I think that's him.
That's my son. I'm going to go get him.
He's here somehow.
He's clearly not in space.
Also, this is after they've all had conversations about having hallucinations. Mm-hmm. It's not like this is the first weird... It's like they all know that they're seeing things.
Right.
And that the one lady, Stark, Ellie Sattler, has already launched her theory that the ship is alive and is like doing stuff to them.
Right.
It's just
like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You're not only fucking yourself, because she dies horrifically right away after that, obviously, but then she also leaves all the CO2 scrubbers.
Right. So I would say you're right.
But also...
She's the character who makes the worst decision with the most available information.
Right.
No excuses. There's another character who makes the worst decision with no information. And this is when they go into the Event Horizon for the first time. Mm-hmm. Mr. Justin, little boy, is going into the warp core with the rotating rings and the sphere.
Meat grinder.
It lines up and you see a Stargate rippling portal. And he just shoves his whole arm into it. For no reason. Like, what did you hope would happen in this situation? And he gets sucked in, and he's done, basically.
And also, that creates a explosion that completely fucks their ship.
Yeah, cripples their ship, and now they all have to get on the Event Horizon. So, as far as, doing something where you had no reason to and no information going in, and consequences, you killed everyone, basically. Yeah. Including yourself.
Yeah.
Mr. Justin.
He definitely makes the worst decision for all of them.
Yes.
Fucks them all. That leads us perfectly back into... So I said They get to the Event Horizon, immediately start making bad decisions.
Yes.
For some reason, only 3 of them get on the Event Horizon. The rest of them are still on the ship.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So Laurence Fishburne...
I can buy that. You send an exploratory crew. What doesn't make sense is...
They all split up, too.
Yeah. You send in 3 people, and then they just all fuck off in their own directions for no reason.
Right.
I mean, you're getting into a rescue mission, and they're, like, scanning and looking around. It's like, this is dangerous. You were all worried about how dangerous this was beforehand.
Right.
Why would you be doing this?
Right. And let's make a note of, they should have really good technology, right?
Yes.
Why do they have regular small flashlights?
I'd say worse than small flashlights.
Don't illuminate anything.
I have a flashlight right now in my bedroom. It's it entirely fits into my hand. It's very small. It's USB charged, and it lets out a beam that would embarrass these flashlights that they have in this movie.
There's got to be better technology at that point.
Which, okay, I get it. It's a horror movie.
Ambiance.
I'm not supposed to see things. But you were just talking about you watched Midsommar recently. There's no reason things can't be scary when there's plenty of light around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying, you gotta have better flashlights than that.
You're a space rescue mission. How do you not have good flood flashlights? Come on. So Mr. Justin gets sucked into the portal. Explosion. Cooper is like, "I got you, baby bear." Goes in,
retrieves him.
He comes flying out. The Lewis and Clark is effed.
Yeah.
They have to disembark from there and get on the Event Horizon because that's the only way to get life support. So they have to repair. Now the mission is repair the Lewis and Clark while on the Event Horizon and just get the fuck out of Dodge.
And also, importantly, that one lady has found the captain's log, and they're going to try and figure out what happened before shit went down.
Right. Now sorry.
Go ahead.
I had one important interjection here, which we asked probably around this point in the movie. What is the mission here? Because they're like a rescue team.
Yeah. We thought they were trying to rescue the crew.
Potentially. But now it's like...
There's no crew.
What are we trying to do? It does just turn into, we just need to get out of here. There is no crew. And Sam Neill is acting progressive.
So weird.
Never does anything good.
So weird.
Never helps in any way. And actively is working against the mission.
He continues to get weirder, and somehow the crew, doesn't really care.
They never acknowledge it.
No.
Let alone do anything about it.
Yeah. They don't talk to each other about it. You never get a conversation where they're like, hey, Sam Neill is being really weird.
Yeah. Remember that time where we all heard a horrifying sound and we could see something pounding through
and Sam Neill
the blast doors?
Open the door.
Right. And I stopped him. And then we just kind of let him go doing his own thing. And that never gets brought up again.
Yeah.
Ever.
This is what I wrote. So after, the Justin situation, I wrote, I'm not sure what happens for the next hour, despite feeling like it lasts about 6 hours.
Yes. I wrote, Mr. Justin makes the worst decision ever.
Yeah.
People have hallucinations for 50 minutes.
That's it. Yep.
And then we get the final confrontation with Sam Neill.
Exactly right. Crew members are haunted by weird hallucinations. Sam Neill gets weirder.
And then the movie ends.
They try to repair the ship. That's happening at that time.
That's fine.
They finally watch the captain's log, where you see
disemboweling
weird hell creature, taking eyes out of people's skulls,
torturing and flaying people,
really fucking
Latin
gross.
phrases.
Yeah.
And then Sam Neill turns off the display and says, "We're leaving."
Yeah, Laurence Fishburne is done. We're leaving.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Again, he's one of the representations of what any normal person would do in this situation. We're leaving. We're blowing it up. We're getting out of here. I wanted to ask you, and you've kind of already given an answer because you can't even remember the names of the characters. How would you describe... Give me some character traits of each of our characters, of our crew. So, let's start with the Ellie Sattler character, Stark. What are her character traits?
Her character traits... She's blonde. She's the one who kind of figures it out, so she's smart.
Okay.
She also makes it to the end, so...
She's smart.
She's smart.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Cooper, we've already described. Sassy black character.
Awful lines.
Memorable, but not good.
No.
Yeah. DJ. This is the Lucius Malfoy.
I liked him. He was the doctor guy, right?
Yes.
How did he die?
He got vivisected
yeah. So he was like, Laurence Fishburne was like, Sam Neill, he's not good.
Right.
And
Take him out.
Lucius Malfoy was like, don't you fucking worry about it. I got him. And he turned around and immediately got like eviscerated by Sam Neill.
But good decision making. He's like, I'll kill him. And he immediately is looking for a weapon.
That's true.
He just got the drop.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. How about a character neither of us remember the name of? Dark-haired, short-haired woman with the sun. Character traits?
She struggled. She should have been better at asking for help.
Yeah.
She was not very...
A lot of situations where she's isolated.
Communicative.
And bad things are happening.
Yeah.
And she's not reaching out to people.
She could have been better at that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mr. Smith.
Who is Cigarette Guy?
Cigarette Guy, the pilot.
He's fucking stupid. So at one point he sees Sam Neill, this is kind of close to the end. Yeah. He has been on the Lewis and Clark and he sees Sam Neill like leaving the Lewis and Clark back to the Event Horizon, I guess.
They're getting ready to leave on the Lewis and Clark.
And
Sam Neill's going back on. He's like, what the fuck?
And Laurence Fishburne realizes that Sam Neill took one of the explosives off the Event Horizon and put it on the Lewis and Clark. So he's like, hey, there's an explosive on the ship. And his thought is, I'm going to find the explosive.
Right.
What are you going to do if you find the explosive?
Right.
Like, do you think there's like 15 minutes on it and you have some time to like fuck around and figure out how to get it to stop?
Right.
He rifles through everything,
sees some blood,
finds the explosive, and it's got like 5 seconds left. And he just watches it. And then he dies.
And if he had just left as he was asked to, he could have got on the ship.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, kind of sucks because he's not the strongest character in the world, but his big thing is like, I don't want to be on the Event Horizon.
Yeah.
This is all very sus. I want to fix the Lewis and Clark and get out of here.
Yeah.
So there's part of me that's like, I think if they wanted to play it up, he could have been like, if the Lewis and Clark explodes, we have no chance. And then he could have been desperately looking for it.
Right.
But as it is, he's just kind of an idiot.
Yeah. Bad decision. Another bad decision.
Yeah. So we've kind of worked through the plot here. I said this is kind of reminding me, weird comparison, of Sleepless in Seattle, where not much happens in the movie.
Yeah.
They arrive, Justin goes through the portal, they have hallucinations for 50 minutes, and then they fight Sam Neill.
Yeah, and then we have our climax at the end.
That's all that really happens.
Also, I wanted to... after this explosion happens that kills Cigarette Guy, Cooper is on the outside of the ship and he gets kind of blown out into space. Right. Whatever. He figures out a way to get back. It's just Sam
really
Neill,
stupid,
Laurence Fishburne, and Ellie Sattler still on the ship.
Right.
And Sam Neill is going to shoot Laurence Fishburne?
So, Laurence Fishburne... At this point, we're like, what happened to Ellie Sattler? What happened to Stark? Because we haven't seen her at this point in like 20 minutes or something like that. And so Laurence Fishburne looks for her and finds her, and they're on like the bridge.
Yeah.
And Sam Neill's on a rotating chair.
Yeah.
His eyes gouge out, and he's like, hello there.
Where we're going, we don't need eyes.
Exactly. And at this point, they're talking back and forth. Oh, we should say good decisions, bad decisions. Good decision. Laurence Fishburne
gets a gun.
Gets like a harpoon gun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to know why these are on board the ship, but whatever.
Whatever.
He has like a harpoon gun. Great. Arm yourself.
Good idea.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
And then eyeless Sam Neill is like monologuing, and April's just like, shoot him. Just shoot him.
And Laurence Fishburne at that point doesn't have the gun. I'm like, what? Did you put it down? Did you drop it? Like, where is it? You could have shot him.
Right. And so they're just talking back and forth. And so Ellie Sattler comes at him with like a fire extinguisher.
Right, which you wouldn't need if you just shot him.
Right. He knocks her aside with superhuman strength. And then Laurence Fishburne dives over a table. He shoots at him, misses.
Explodes.
Cooper appears from space.
Again, stupid. And he's like at the window, and he's like,
"What the fuck?
Holy shit!" Like, whatever.
The fucking glass gets shot out. The whole place is filled with space air. At which point I'm like, aren't you gonna fucking die?
Right.
We've established.
Right.
Justin went a little bit crazy.
Tried to blow himself. He did blow himself out the airlock.
He went out the airlock immediately. As soon as it's depressurized, he's like exploding blood.
Right, his eyes are exploding. His veins are exploding. He's bleeding everywhere. He's almost dead.
May not be realistic, but that's how they've chosen to show it.
That's how it works in this movie.
Right, except for at this part.
Yeah.
In which case, 10 minutes of like...
Right, that happened in like 20 seconds with Mr. Justin. And here it goes on for...
at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, where they're trying to struggle to get back into the door.
Right.
And nothing adverse happens to them.
No, they're fine.
Which, again, I think is realistic because there's still air there being sucked out, so you can still breathe. But you already showed me what happens when people get exposed to vacuum. Right. You can't have it both ways.
Right. Anyway... so we have Laurence Fishburne surviving, Ellie Sattler, and
Cooper.
Tyrese Gibson.
That's
character.
Right.
And so their new plan is what? To get on the event horizon and separate the two parts. And
they set that up very clearly early.
Yeah.
There are two different parts of the ship. The part attached to the warp core engine, and then like a crew/escape vessel. There's a bridge in between that you can blow up and separate them.
Yeah, and one of them is like a lifeboat.
Great plan.
So that's their plan.
Yeah.
And somehow they get separated again.
It's because Laurence Fishburne sees the burnt ghost of the person he had left behind. That's his trauma. Is that at one point he had a mission where he had to leave a man behind who died in a fire. And he's haunted by that.
Right. How does he get back to that engineering room, though? For what?
I don't know what he's trying to do exactly.
Was he going to, like, set the explosive or something? And then... he sees the fiery vision. Because there's a part where he sprints down that corridor, right?
Let me look it up.
I don't know. Somehow he ends up sprinting into the engineering room with the black hole.
Miller, Stark, and Cooper survive and manage to seal off the ship's bridge. With their own ship destroyed, Miller plans to split the event horizon in two and use its forward section as a lifeboat.
Yeah.
He is attacked by manifestations of Korik.
How? Like, why are they not all three together?
I don't know.
And at the same time, we've got a blood waterfall.
Right. I think that's why we're not remembering it, because they're getting the ship ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And, like, the water supplies and the grav tanks are turning to blood. All of a sudden. And it seems like that's important, but it's not.
But it's not. That doesn't
Nothing
do
happens.
anything, actually.
It explodes. Stark falls over, trips over her own shoelaces. Cooper and Stark are fine.
Yeah.
I think it's just something that happens to show that Miller's on his own now.
Yeah, Laurence Fishburne ends up sealed off in the engineering room. Remember, he makes that dive through the spiky gate. Colossus. And he ends up in the liquid. And then we get Sam Neill.
He's back.
As a hell person. Demon.
Like the McRib, he's back.
He is naked.
And you see some dick.
You get a little shadow of his swanging dick.
His flayed penis.
And then here is my favorite as far as the sound mixing goes. So Laurence Fishburne is fighting Sam Neill because he wants the rest of his crew to survive. And he's like, Sam Neill, you're not taking my crew. And he picks up like some metal pole.
I think one of those oxygen CO2 scrubber things.
Sure. And he hits Sam Neill with it, and it makes like a thunk, thunk, thunk. He keeps hitting him with it.
It's the same thunk, sound effect every time. Bonk.
Which is just really funny.
There are lots of bad sound effects in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's the end of the movie.
So yeah, Laurence Fishburne basically decides... sacrifice myself. He blows up the tunnel, blows up the event horizon. He gets sucked into a black hole. The lifeboat escapes. Yeah. We get a little bit of a jump scare at the end where Ellie Sattler thinks that Sam Neill's still alive. It's just like the horror decompression thing.
A little vision hallucination.
And they cut to
Yeah, we go back to the techno music, which is really great.
And that's the end.
Yeah.
Event Horizon.
Things I want to talk about. I have several topics.
All right, bring it on.
Let's talk about the acting in this movie. You know, we mentioned a little bit. Sam Neill, really bad. Really bad.
We talked about a couple key moments.
There were other parts where we were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. The one that still stands out in my mind is at the beginning, Sam Neill's vision of something horrifying happening. He's seeing his wife, Claire.
Yeah.
And he sees her eyes. She's missing her eyes.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh!
Yeah, he barely opens his mouth and he goes, oh!
And in general, I would say by and large, people's reaction to horrifying things is
really bad.
Is bad.
Really bad.
Only person who really turns in a good horrified performance is Mr. Justin.
At times.
Because he's on the medical bed being treated, and he's like convulsing and like vomiting up stuff. And that's actually pretty good.
But he's the one who reacts to the bright light, right? And he's like, ow! It's like really funny.
I can't remember.
I think so.
That you might be right.
There's like a bright
light.
The
light turns
and he goes,
on.
ah! It's really funny.
So people have bad reactions.
But the part where that one girl, she finally like gets the captain's log image and she's drinking a cup of coffee and she like fumbles her coffee and she's like, oh my god!
Oh no!
Look at this. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good. I have to put a lot of this on bad direction, I think, because you were wondering, is Sam Neill a good actor or a bad actor? I think he is a good actor. And something we might want to visit in the future is In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness. Never heard of it.
So that's another John Carpenter movie. The Thing.
Okay.
And it's also about a person progressively losing their mind. And Sam Neill's the person who's losing their mind. And it's just a much better version of the same thing. And one thing that's good about it, too, is that in this movie, Sam Neill's a freaking weirdo from the beginning. You're like, what is up with this guy?
Off.
So in The Mouth of Madness, he's incredibly skeptical and slowly sees more things and kind of loses his grip with reality. And so do we as we're watching it through his eyes. It's just a better script. It's just better directed overall.
Speaking of Sam Neill being a weirdo at the beginning, let's talk about Sam Neill's whole deal in this movie. Like,
right, what's going on with him exactly?
Was he on the Event Horizon? He came back. Like, why is he?
It seems
what's his hallucination. Like, what's his connection?
They refer to the Event Horizon as his ship several times. So he's one of, if not the designer who created this thing.
Okay.
That much we know for sure. There's some hints that maybe he was on the ship.
Yeah, because he is already like hallucinating before they get to the Event Horizon.
Exactly.
He's seeing his wife without the eyes.
Right, and he's seeing, the first thing we see is that flayed version, which to me, I think, is him.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like he went through this journey and somehow, through the black hole, Interstellar style, wound up back on Earth. Somehow. Don't know. And I don't know why, if he did that whatever agency is responsible for this is like, yeah, you go ahead.
Go on in.
Yeah, we want you on this mission, even though you were there. How are you back exactly?
Yeah, can you tell us what happened? Or
so that doesn't quite make sense,
right?
And then so let's say the other possibility, he wasn't part of it. He helped design it, didn't go out there, but now he really wants to get back to it,
right?
For some reason.
And he's the only one who, like, all of them are having hallucinations, but he's the only one who's like, this is my ship, like, I'm home. Like, his is way more heightened than the rest of them. Right,
because
which makes me think he did go through it.
His whole deal is, like, he's conflating his wife. Okay, so there's this whole thing with him and his wife. He devoted too much time to work, and she killed herself. Yeah. I guess, because she just couldn't live without him while he's going.
He didn't spend enough time with her.
Sure, whatever. Woman in the refrigerator bullshit.
Right.
And so he's having visions of that, and she's like, "You're home. You'll never be alone again." The movie doesn't fill in enough to really say anything, I don't think.
Yeah. So we don't know.
That's all I've got.
So, you're not sure what Sam Neill's deal is in this movie.
Right. Now, here's a good question. this was also part of the Red Letter Media review. Jay was bringing up, he thinks this would be a great movie to do a remake of. Do you think it could make for a good remake? I don't
want another remake. I am tired of
remakes. I am too, but I would say like this.
It could have been good. I'm sure that you can make it good.
This is the kind of movie that I think would make for a good remake because the idea is super solid and the execution was awful. And there's so much you could change. Like, you don't have to keep hardly anything from the original.
Just the concept.
The very base concept of ship reaching the outer limits of exploration, goes missing, comes back, and has something going on. Play up the sentience of the ship.
Here's my opinion. If you're going to do it that way, call it something different and make it a different movie. Even if the concept is the same. Because this movie does have like a cult following.
It does,
I think people would be very upset if you remade it and it was very different.
You're right.
So you might as well just spin that into a new thing.
Do your own thing.
Lots of concepts are reused. So like, you could just reuse it, but make it way different.
I agree. I just think that what's more likely to happen, this is not like it's a good idea, more likely to happen is a studio would said, Event Horizon has this cult following. Let's make another one.
Studios are dumb, though. They don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a good idea. That's just what would happen.
The last topic I think we should talk about is Matt Webb. This is addressed to you. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, so you'll hear a lot about this in our commentary / reaction track, but Matt Webb, independently for both of us, I guess, was tugging on our sleeves saying, hey, you gotta watch
this one.
Gotta watch Event Horizon. And this is before watching movies, the podcast.
No, and he recommended it just for us to, not to review, not to do commentary, just to watch.
Just a good
pleasure.
Movie. Yeah, to check out. He said to me, he's like, have you ever watched that Event Horizon? And I was like, no. He's like, it's actually really good. You gotta watch it. That was my experience.
How recently was this?
So this is a while ago. This is like 5 years ago.
I was gonna say.
But bear in mind, I'm 34. So 5 years ago, I'd have been 29. I would have been 27. So late 20s.
I'm imagining he watched this around college and was like, that was a good time.
Could have been that. Could have been just some night where he's just like up late. Veronica's gone to bed. He's like, I'm going to light up a bowl. I'm going to sit down with my leftovers.
Get a snack.
And I'm going to watch something. Ooh, Event Horizon. Never watched it. This is a pretty good movie. That's my guess.
Because he did also recommend this to me like 4 years ago this may be a different recommendation because I had been reviewing and watching movies on my Instagram story, and I like to rip into movies and make fun of movies.
Was that the context that
I don't think it was. I just asked for recommendations of things that I should watch for Instagram, and he said, "Hey,
you might think about Event Horizon." I'll ask him. So we're seeing him today in a matter of like an hour, maybe less. So we're gonna have a little conversation with Matt. I also had one last thing to talk about.
Okay.
This is just more of a minor note. Weird cuts and weird slow-mo in this movie. Yeah. The cuts especially were bothersome. Where it's just like
strange.
Lingering on people not saying anything and not like building up weird tension. Yeah. It's just like someone
It's like they forgot to cut.
Right. Someone asked someone else a question. 20 seconds pass. Hard cut to the next scene. Yeah. Or like Laurence Fishburne is in the warp core and sees the burning corpse of this person he left behind. They hard cut to everybody on the bridge talking about what they've seen.
Talking about nothing that was just happening. Right. Like, no explanation,
how did we get
resolution.
How did we get from Laurence? Like, what happened? Did he just be like, I'm leaving, and he just went to the bridge? Don't know.
That wasn't the only instance. There were lots of instances where we were like, how did we jump from here to here?
What happened?
What's going on?
All right. You ready for the final review?
Yeah.
All right. My score. 3 baby bears out of 10.
Okay.
Is what I gave it. How about you?
I gave it 1 fiery swinging Sam Neill dick.
Which is bad.
It could have been great, but they didn't execute it right.
Yeah, I think so. This isn't a totally meritless movie. There are things that I did like about it.
Yeah.
But most of them were like theory ideas. None of it had to do with how the movie turned out.
The execution at all.
Right.
And you know what? I would recommend this movie. I would recommend it for people who like bad movies, like me. Like,
definitely.
This is a good, like, haha, what the fuck? This is stupid. Like,
yes. If you do like bad movies, you will get at least a little bit of a kick out of this.
I'll tell you what, I would have never recommended it to you. Because you don't like bad movies.
This is why this is a good podcast. Because it's like, you have two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We have similar tastes, but like, you like bad movies and I don't like bad movies.
Right.
So if you recommend it to someone who likes bad movies, that is actually a good tick in that column. I would recommend this to someone who is fishing for ideas for their one-shot role-playing game, space horror game.
Okay.
There's some fun stuff that you could pluck out of this and use in your game.
Yeah.
I said multiple times while we were commenting on it that it's a bad space horror movie, but that could make for a fun space horror game.
Yeah.
So that's who I would recommend it to. Other than that, as far as like a movie, I would recommend it to no one.
To no one.
Yeah. I would say don't watch this movie. It is not worth your time.
Unless you like bad movies.
And if you do, you can watch along with our commentary track where we go on long tangents a few different times.
That's true.
We spent like 20 minutes at a time not commenting on the movie at all because there's long stretches where nothing of consequence.
Despite it being an hour and 30 minutes long.
We had to take multiple long tangent breaks. All right. Well, Event Horizon, happy Halloween.
Give it a watch, maybe. Probably not.
All right. We'll see you for the next one. Bye.
Bye.